those that are listening might be sitting there going like, well, how did this person get into activism? So if you'll just kind of like we'll backtrack a little bit and we'll give folks a little bit of a story as to how you got involved and how you became the activist that you are.
Sure. Yeah, totally, Mark. And then I'll definitely have to hop off after this question, but I'm happy to share that. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, after my family migrated here from Vietnam, and I became an organizer in high school, first through the migrant justice movement. I had a lot of friends who are undocumented and were facing a lot of challenges thinking about what they would do after high school, because North Carolina is one of those states where if you are undocumented, you have to pay out-of-state tuition, and there's not financial aid that exists out there for undocumented students. There are very few scholarships available, and so that was really where I entered into the fight, and a lot of my personal experiences growing up shaped why I decided, that my life's work is to fight for revolution and to fight for radical change in our society. My family struggled with incarceration. We lost our home when I was in middle school around the housing crisis. And so there are all of these things in my personal life that I was starting to draw connections to in the outside world and meeting other people who are going through similar things and feeling really less alone, and then starting to think, okay, now that I feel less alone, what are we going to do about it? And so started organizing in high school, became really involved in my local community, and have just been connecting with really amazing folks since. And I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do without others in my community who have also made a really clear decision that they were going to fight for the kind of future that we all deserve.
No doubt, and I mean, that's one of the things that I definitely admire about you is that even getting involved at the time that you did, you have definitely been a leader in the forefront in terms of all of the struggles that have been going on, and oftentimes yourself in both leadership roles and all sorts, both leading actions to being a speaker to just doing even some of the planning of things that are going on. So I have always been an admirer of yours and continue to be an admirer of yours. So just wanted to let you know that, and we've got folks on that I definitely have seen the work that you are doing and continue to do. So definitely appreciate it, and know that even though it's a hard struggle, that it is one that you are definitely doing in quite a wonderful way, and we're definitely proud of you, those of us that have been involved in the movement for years. My folks haven't been involved when I was a teenager in the 70s, so you're continuing a tradition that has been going on for many years and that many folks are seeing in the community. So I know that I'm not the only senior leadership around this area that is definitely seeing the work that you're doing and is quite proud of the work that are going on. Dean?
Yep, I'm still here.
Cool.
I think we still have them on. I think they're still on the line. I'm not sure.
Okay. Are y'all still on the line, or did you have to get off?
I'm getting ready to head off now, but just wanted to say thanks again for having me.
Oh, yeah. Most welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.
Yes, and we give you some perception of what was going on and things of that nature. So we definitely appreciate it. So, Dean.
What's up, bro?
You heard it, but I'm going to try to get another friend of mine that has been involved in some stuff and see if they can call him very soon and get that from another phone. But as you can see, we've got folks that are definitely still. There's another phone call.
Yeah, we got another phone call. Let's see who it is. You know what I mean? Welcome to the Voice of the People. Who we speaking with?
How you doing, brothers? My name is Tahaka Amana El Bay.
All right, my brother. Good evening.
Good evening to y'all. I was just sitting here listening to y'all and listening to the young lady. We're involved in being active as well, but my approach is a little bit different. Down here, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
And what we do is we take the youth and we show them the latest formulas that we have, and we also teach them how to grow their own food, how to have the correct soil, how to approach the system that they are being shrouded by identifying exactly what it is where its origin is, identifying all the markers, all the labels, and opening it completely up and getting them to understand that, number one, according to our new research, we deal with this thing I'll put it to you this way. Most people, it's easy for them to say, we need to look at history.
Right.
But what we fail to realize is when you're saying history, we are saying that is his story. But then the next question will have to be who and what type of system are you talking about, and how big is this thing? So if we are dealing with racism based on his story, all the way back, as far back as you can go, way beyond, right along at the same time of Egypt, and then you, on the other hand, you have our story. So we got two different things. And scientists will tell you that children, they are of African descent. They exhibit certain types of behavior at a very young age. However, by the time they reach age 7, things start going downhill. Well, we have to remember, we just use common sense. The average child, and I can only speak from the children that look like me, because these are the people that I'm in close contact with. These are the people that we're training. These are the people that we are educating and teaching. Mm-hmm. That is when they go into a school system. Now, when they get into the school system, we have to understand that the racism and the global system of white supremacy is global. This thing is global. This is not just confined to the United States. This thing is global. And they control the 9 major points of lives of people, especially in the United States, under the following labels: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. These are the 9 points of the global system of racism, white supremacy. So if we get his story lined up, and we go all the way back to his origins, what we are looking for is his behavioral patterns, regardless of who he say he is. And then we deal with our story, and we go back in our ancient times, and we look at our behavioral patterns, and then we see how they are manifesting themselves in the 20th century. Now, there are certain pieces of this puzzle that is missing, and one of the biggest pieces of this puzzle, and we teach the children this, is our ancient story in the West, in this hemisphere. And what we are attempting to do is most of the time we are talking about what happened in Africa, the slave trade, and what happened in Egypt. And this is very, very important. But what about over here? And there's a wonderful gentleman. I don't know if you guys ever read the book, but his name is Horace Butler. He wrote a book called When Rocks Cry Out, and he dealt specifically with our ancient story in this hemisphere. The ancient maps of the United States and South America is missing. How can we have a place called America when we had natives here prior to it being invaded? So what was the name of the place before then? What is the name of the maps? What is the name of the territories, the towns, the cities, the states? How could we have Australia? What was the name of the land prior to it being invaded and the label Australia put on it? You understand the type of teaching that I'm talking about, brother?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
okay, but I just wanted to put that little bit of information out there. So it's something that we have to consider, because if you do not recognize and turn over all the rocks, you'll have missing pieces. if the United States filed Chapter 11 in bankruptcy in 1933, and is operating as a corporation, and the only thing a corporation can do business with is another corporation, then that would explain why on every bill and every document you got, including your bank statement, driver's license, Social Security card, your name appears in all capital letters, just like when you go in the cemetery. And your third grade grammar teacher taught you the difference between a proper noun and an improper noun. A proper noun, when it comes to a man or a woman, is always spelled in upper and lowercase letters. But if all the letters are capital, that indicates anything other than a man or a woman. And that is the same thing you'll find when you go to the cemetery. And the reason it's on the gravestones out there in all capital letters all the time is because everybody out there is dead. So when we turn over all the rocks, the next question would be, who owns this place called America? What is their history? Let's go back and find out these particular people, what's in their nature back then, and that will give us a big panorama of what's going on, and not only in the United States, but in other countries. We'll be able to understand why a man will wrap a bomb around himself and go into London, England, and detonate that bomb, killing himself and as many of his perceived enemies as he can. I don't want to run away with your program, brother, but I'm just trying to put a little food out there for thought.
Oh no, go ahead, bro. I'm not mad at you. Now, do you believe that because they have taught us in most history classes, as far as black people, they start with the Middle Passage and then they bring it over here to the United States where we were just slaves. And then it kind of stops there, you know, and then there's a gap. And then they go to Harriet Tubman because they got to figure out how we got free. So then they say, okay, Harriet Tubman freed the slaves. Then we fast forward to maybe Rosa Parks or Martin Luther King, and we've bypassed so many people who built this country, and some known, some unknown. And we don't learn about that until we decide we come across someone that's teaching us. Fortunately, I went to a HBCU, Virginia State, and our history teachers taught us those things, you know. But what happens to the individual who goes by what the school teaches and believes that that's all it is? We don't know who we are. So do you believe it was a smoke screen for, you know, if I can keep you confused as to who you are, I can tell you who you're supposed to be and you'll believe it. Do you concur with that? I guess. You're
exactly right. But once again, you're going to have to look at the magnitude of the questions you just asked me. First of all, based on what I've been trying to tell you, it is impossible for people of African descent, especially, to get an education inside the current school system. Remember, I told you what the 9 points are. Education is the second one. All right? So in order for you and me to get an education, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to have to teach us our ancient story, not only in Africa and going all the way back as close to the beginning of time as they can, and our ancient story in the West. Otherwise, we are being victimized by what is commonly referred to as miseducation. We got the wagon, but the horse is tied to the back of the wagon. You see. See, if me and you, we're gonna say me and you, we was in the first grade, because that's where the downslide started at. Because if they're not teaching you, we got me and you, we got a so-called Indian, we got one that's called Japanese, we got one that's called Chinese. Each one of us had to be educated separately about our ancient story to instill pride in us and put the defense mechanism in you to disseminate lies. You see what I'm saying? Now, we conducted this experiment, just this type of experiment. I've created a library, and it's an online library. Well, the first one was destroyed. They got a hold of it and destroyed it. But prior to that, there was a little girl. She was going to school, and her father had gotten my whole